We'd like to welcome Jordan Spieth to the interview room here at the Players Championship 2023. Jordan, you're in here coming off a really good competitive week last week at the Arnold Palmer where you tied for fourth, but you're in contention down the stretch. You must feel comfortable coming in here with some good vibes in your game. Just speak to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel the last month or so, I would say since Phoenix, I feel really confident. Been pushing what I've been working on and pushing the same thing, and it's my ball striking and driving has been really nice. I got a little off last weekend in that front, and then made some strides in on the greens, and felt like last week was kind of the first week after an off week where I really got into kind of a different setup position and felt really pretty confident about hitting my start lines. And each round I got progressively better last week on greens that are typically get more difficult as the week goes on. So all in all, I feel good. I don't have a great track record here at this event. You know, it doesn't take much research to figure that out, but I feel like when striking it well, having some momentum and feeling like a little bit of freedom as far as being able to play aggressively here, that's going to kind of be my strategy this week to try and take advantage. I mean, be patient, but when you get a couple opportunities, make sure you go ahead and fire away. So it's weird to come to the TPC Sawgrass and feel like it's a less stressful week than the week before, but that's just a heavy stress golf course last week. It feels like you get one or two breaks the entire round, and you might get maybe a couple more this week, but it feels like quite a bit. It's a lot greener here this week than
Seems like it. Just raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll get a microphone to you. We'll start on the right here with Doug.
We'll just jump into it. Jordan, from being in the meeting at Delaware to what was presented last week, where do you think the biggest gain was made?
I think the idea that I can confidently say that it's not two separate tours, as much as that might be perceived that way. In Delaware, that was the first presentation, was essentially two separate tours, and to get to a place where every single full card holder can play in every single PGA Tour event that season meant there had to be some give from then, and I think it was the right thing to do. You still have elevated events with the overall from Delaware till now, the idea being that get the top ranked players in the world playing as often together on the PGA Tour as possible. And I think that that's been done while providing an opportunity for any, you know, guys who are future stars to be able to still get into those top events within a week, as well as any other card holder that may not start in the elevated events to start the season. So I think I'm pleased with where the work the PGA Tour has done in regards to feedback from players. I felt like in the last 6 months, maybe 4 months, the communication's been fantastic. And hopefully this is a product that doesn't need to be changed much once the nicks are kind of figured out over the next 6 months or so, the little details. Hopefully it can be a situation where there doesn't have to be a lot of change over the next 20 plus years, and that was really the outlook that we all had on it.
Ma'am, if you could get that mic to Don in the back row, and in the meantime, we'll come to Clayton in the front.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned your track record here at the Players. You have several missed cuts over the years. You know, what has been the biggest...
I said it didn't take much research. I didn't need you to actually research it.
Yeah, what has been the biggest challenge for you playing this golf course?
It's a good question. I mean, I think when I've mentioned it to Michael, I think I've mentioned I don't play it with enough patience. And that kind of goes against what I just talked about, being aggressive. But there's such a balance there to being confident and swinging aggressively to the right targets versus visually, I've had a hard time on this golf course because I like to see a lot of feel shots. And out here, there's not a lot of stuff to work it off of. It seems like if a ball is moving away from a hole, it's just going to move further away from a hole. And I have a hard time visually with that versus, say, Kapalua or Augusta, where it's just you're working a ball off a slope or wind and greens feed in and out. And I think that's been my toughest. It's been more in the approach game and even some tee balls, just feeling confident that when the ball lands, it's going to stay versus feeling like it kind of gets rolling off the sides. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
Go to Don in the back row.
Jordan, yourself and a number of your peers have grown up fast on the tour, and a lot of you are now parents and dads. I was wondering if you could tell me how that changes you as a person and how it changes your attitude to golf, whether it helps or hinders you as a player.
I'm not someone to say, man, my perspective on everything's changed, because I don't feel very different at all. It really hasn't changed my outlook on golf. I would say certainly there are times where I probably go home sooner than I would because I'm excited to go home and hang out with the little man, but at home. But, you know, that time is more valuable than any other time I could spend doing anything else, and I'd prioritize that as best I can while still trying to be the best player in the world. So it's somewhat of a balancing act in that regard, but it's been incredible. First part of your question was just how it's changed as a person. I still feel like I'm 21 and shouldn't have a kid sometimes, and then sometimes I feel like 50 and I could have a grandkid. You know, I just I talk with Annie, and we're like, man, it's just kind of crazy that, you know, that he's our kid. You know, that just happened so fast, and I know everyone says that. And so we're trying to soak it in, and it's just a lot of joy. It's really a lot of fun. He's a really happy kid, and that's really fun to be around. He's always smiling and laughing, and I like messing with him. Now he's kind of stable enough to be able to kind of wrestle around with, and it's a blast.
All right.
Golf easier? If golf's sort of less important, does that maybe enhance your performance?
Yeah, I didn't mean to infer that it would be less important. More so that there's just nothing more important than that to me. I don't think if you find any way to make golf easier, I'm all ears. I think that it certainly makes the off days, you know, days like Sunday where I was pretty disappointed when I finished, and then, you know, he's walking to me and giggling because he saw me, you know, it changes your mood pretty quickly. And the good days are just as good or better. So in that regard, yeah, it makes life itself more enjoyable, which was already pretty good.
We'll go to Alex on the left here.
Yeah, Jordan, you just mentioned the fact that getting the best players together more often was the impetus behind these elevated events. That being said, and all the players buying into that idea, did you have to raise the purses that high to get there?
No, but I think that why would you not maximize what sponsors, networks, and the tour itself can maximize? I don't remember that being like, hey, these have to be at a set number to get there. But if a tournament sponsor wants to have essentially a major championship at their tournament, the tour felt that they would be able to charge a certain premium for that, and that's kind of where we've gotten to this year, and hopefully for future years. I don't see why you wouldn't try and maximize the value that you can from our perspective at all.
Okay, we'll go in the back to Ann.
Hey, Jordan, can you talk, I'm back here.
Hi.
How you doing? Can you talk more about your mindset about bouncing back from disappointing losses? I know it's a big part of the game for everybody, but how do you mentally deal with major disappointments, and does it get easier as you get older?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a major disappointment. I mean, I started the day 4 back, and I didn't look at a board. I knew I was probably, you could feel it in the crowd, and you know how you're playing, you know how the course is, and last week was a great week. I actually felt that I hit my lines on every putt. I didn't hit my driver well on the weekend. I've been driving the ball really nicely, and I didn't put the ball in the fairway enough on Saturday and Sunday, or else it would have been a breeze to the finish line, I think. And that's how I look at it, is I want to improve there, and I want to continue to press my foot on the pedal on what I've been doing on the greens. And the rest of it was really solid, so a lot of maintenance, but certainly some kind of getting back to some of the stuff I was doing early last week, even Pebble and Riviera with my longer clubs, where I lost a little bit of mechanically lost a little bit of the soundness that I had then. And I know what it was, and it just takes sometimes a couple days of with eyes on it with my coach, and that's what I've been trying to do yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So I look at it as a lot of positives. I hit every putt where I wanted to. I missed a few late. And I looked back, at the greens books afterwards where you can plug them in and see, and I just misread them. And that's a lot easier to swallow than scared bad strokes. And this was different. And I felt really, really confident going into every shot and every putt, and had a really good week. And I'll try and get back into contention this week. And especially as we head into the majors, you can't be in contention enough. You just get more and more comfortable each time. That was the first time, really, Sunday on a back nine I've had a chance to win in quite a while. So I need to do that more often so that it becomes easier and easier.